I appreciate the question, Kevin, but I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? Republicans have repeatedly lectured America. They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have? We are going to try to find bipartisan common ground on any issue. We will work with anyone in this town to get things done for the American people, to lower the high cost of living, secure the border, and keep our communities safe while defending dreamers, farm workers, and families at the same time.
Yo, what's up, Black Coffee fam? Welcome back to the only channel that serves up the real deal, no chaser. We're here to dissect the political landscape, one piping hot cup at a time. Today's topic? The Democrats are in disarray, and frankly, it's hard not to watch with a mix of amusement and concern. Our headline, Hakeem Jeffries cries admitting Democrats are finished. Now, before the Twitterverse goes wild, remember this is my opinion, based on the facts. Let's get into it. Let's dive into this now infamous clip of Hakeem Jeffries. This isn't some random soundbite. This is a sitting house leader looking like he's just been told his dog ran away. He's practically begging the universe, asking, what leverage do we actually have? This isn't a minor setback. This is an admission that the Democratic Party is essentially powerless. They've lost control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's a clean sweep for the Republicans, and Jeffries' reaction isn't of someone ready to fight, but of someone who's accepted defeat.
We begin today with our first assessment of how President Trump and his policies are doing just 3 weeks into his second term. Our CBS poll finds that a majority of Americans, 53%, approve of the job he's doing. That's a better approval number than he ever reached during his first term in the White House. Joining us with more is our Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. Good to see you, Anthony. What's driving this?
I will keep it simple, Margaret. He is doing, in the eyes of the public, what he said he would do in the campaign. There's political value in that. In fact, 70% of people say he's doing what he promised. That's whether they approve of him or not. Now, there's another part of this that continues over from the campaign. There were words that he was described as being tough, being energetic, and he still is today in big majority numbers. So as people take a look in these first few weeks, there's been a lot of activity. They're getting that general sense of governance, and that's being reflected in these early numbers.
Now, let's talk about the Democrats' brilliant strategy for moving forward. According to Jeffries, it's all about bipartisan common ground and working with anyone. Seriously. This is the same party that spent the last few years calling Republicans names at anyone who aligns with them a racist or a Nazi. The same party that has treated any political opposition with outright contempt now wants to sing Kumbaya and work together, please. It's hard to keep a straight face when you hear this level of hypocrisy. It's like the school bully asking to share your lunch after taking it. Here's where it gets even more ridiculous. Jeffries, immediately after admitting his party has no leverage, comes out swinging, declaring they will fight Trump's agenda. It's absurd. They're acknowledging their weakness, but still pretending to be contenders. This is performative activism at its finest. It's all show, no substance. It's the equivalent of a hamster running on a wheel. Lots of activity, but going nowhere. This isn't strategic, it's just plain sad.
We're getting some new information about how Americans view President Trump's, how he's doing his job.
Yeah, so, CBS News, YouGov came out with a poll earlier today that had him on the positive side of the ledger, and I decided to average all the polls. And you know what? The average of the polls also has him on the positive side of the ledger. All right, let's take a look. Trump's net approval rating on February 9th. Look at this. In 2025, he's at plus 4 points. Look where he was in 2017, his first term at this point. He was at minus 5 points, so he's doing nearly 10 points better on the average. And more than that, as I mentioned, it's not just the CBS News poll, it's the Ipsos poll, it's the Gallup poll, it's the Pew poll. All of these polls have him in better shape than those respective polls had him at this point back in 2017. So the bottom line is, no matter where you look, Donald Trump is more popular than he was 8 years ago at this point.
Let's be honest, the Democrats are panicking. They're flailing because the American people aren't buying. what they're selling. And what's the reason for this panic? Well, for starters, Trump's approval rating is currently at 53%, which is better than it ever was during his first term. And according to a CBS poll, 70% of people say he's doing what he promised. The American people are seeing what they voted for, and it appears they like what they see. It's not blind loyalty. It's an affirmation of the common sense approach that many crave. This isn't about being a Trump supporter. It's about aligning with policies that are delivering on their promises.
Entire first term, just 11 days. Just 11 days was he on the positive side of the ledger. Compare that so far, every single day, all 20 days so far, he has been on the positive side of the ledger. So he has nearly doubled up the number of days in which he has a positive net approval rating from his first term. And we're only 20 days in. Every single day, Donald Trump has been in positive territory compared to just 11 days during his first term. The bottom line is, no matter which poll you look at, no matter what way you look at it, simply put, Americans like the job that Donald Trump is doing significantly more this time around than they did in his first term, when he just had 11 days in which he had a positive net approval rating compared to already nearly 3 weeks so far, Jessica.
That is pretty incredible to compare those two. So break this down then. Why do you have any idea why more Americans are approving of his job, of the way he's doing his job this time around?
Yeah, of course, Donald Trump won the 2016 election. He won the 2024 election. But when you went into his first term, there were a lot of folks who simply put did not think that Donald Trump was doing what he promised. Back in April of 2017, it was just 46%. Compare that to 70% so far.
Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the woke narrative. How many of you are tired of the constant lectures, the forced pronouns, and the virtue signaling? The Democrats are so quick to label Trump voters as bigots and Nazis, but they never actually take the time to understand why people voted for him. They assume we're all just a bunch of hateful people. They are stuck in an echo chamber of their own making, labeling anyone who disagrees as some kind of ist. They think they know best, but they've completely lost touch with the average American. This is the textbook definition of liberal hypocrisy. They are the ones who are out of touch with everyday Americans. It's not just the social issues, folks.
I rise today to address the Republican bait and switch that has been taking place throughout the 119th Congress. The Republican bait and switch has three elements. Part one, talk about lowering the high cost of living, but do nothing about it. Part two, enact massive tax cuts for billionaires and wealthy corporations that will do nothing to improve the quality of life of everyday Americans. Part three, stick working class Americans with the bill for those massive tax cuts for billionaires and wealthy corporations by destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid as we know it. House Democrats want nothing to do with the Republican bait and switch, and we will do everything possible to stop it.
The Democrats have cornered themselves on every front. They are trying to lecture us about the importance of foreign aid, even when most of America wants to reduce it. Ilhan Omar stated that they will keep trying to convince the public that spending money on foreign aid is good. We are $37 trillion in debt, and they still want to send money overseas. It's not that people are heartless. We just think that our money would be better spent here first. Prioritize the people here first. We have problems at home, and we want a government that puts Americans first. The polls are clear. Trump's net approval rating is way up compared to his first term. He's not just slightly more popular, he's significantly more popular. Every poll, whether it's CBS, CNN, Ipsos, Gallup, or Pew, shows Trump is in a better position than he was at this point in his first term. He's doubled the number of days he has had a positive net approval rating compared to his first term. People are not just passively supporting him, they are actively approving of the job he is doing. This is not just a temporary bump, it's a trend. It's also worth noting that the American public is also rejecting the woke agenda.
Secretary Rubio was right in saying that it's getting harder to defend foreign aid because it's not popular. We saw the Chicago Council on Global Affairs surveyed American opinions on foreign policy, and they found a growing number want to reduce economic and military aid to other countries. So how do you convince the public that your point of view is the right one? Because it sounds like they're sliding the other way.
Well, foreign aid, I think, throughout the history of our country has not been popular with the American people because we don't have that many conversations about what it does, how much of it it accounts for in our budget. A lot of people hear the millions, billions, and they don't fully have a concept of what that actually means, the lives it touches, and how important it is, both the soft power that we have as a country, how it keeps us competitive around the world, how it buys us goodwill. We can have the conversation, but when you just say foreign aid to a lot of people, they're thinking that we're sending bombs to other countries, which people like me and others oppose.
So where does this leave us? The Democrats are scrambling and confused. They're stuck in their echo chamber, and they refuse to actually listen to the American people. They're convinced that they know what's best without ever actually engaging with the concerns of everyday citizens. They need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and realize their approach is failing. American people are rejecting their policies and their virtue signaling. The bottom line is this: the Democrats' failure to understand and address the concerns of everyday Americans is why they are losing ground. Not because Trump voters are confused or racist. This isn't solely a win for Trump. It's a rejection of the Democrats and the liberal establishment. This is a direct result of their out-of-touch, elitist, condescending approach that has alienated a large portion of the country. They need to take their heads out of the sand. I want to know what you think. Drop your comments down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Let's keep the conversation going. And remember, this is just my opinion based on what I'm seeing. Stay woke, stay informed, and stay caffeinated. Peace.